back to Simply Art. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a first impressions as well as a review on a paint product that I found at Target. So I was shopping at Target for laundry detergent and of course happened upon the craft aisle and saw that they have a new paint line called Handmade Modern. I'm going to assume that this is a house brand paint like some of their other craft products that they have in store. I believe it is a house brand, but I don't know for sure. Now, this paint claims to be a multi-surface paint, so that means you can use it on wood, glass, ceramic, metal, canvas, paper, and more. It's indoor and outdoor. It is water-based, non-toxic, and has a drying time of an hour. So what I did is I picked up a few colors in different finishes. So I picked up in just a normal finish, in this case they call it a satin finish, the colors Robin's Egg and Deep Sea. I also picked up their glow-in-the-dark paint, their glow-in-the-dark as well paint, which is like this neon hot pink, which they call Candy Floss. This glitter paint, which they're calling Candy Pink. This neon paint in Hot Coral. I wanted to pick up a range of different finishes from their satin to their glittery to their glow-in-the-dark because I want to see how they hold up on all of the different surfaces that they claim to work on. I also want to compare it because the paint is quite similar price point wise as to Americana and Craft Smart, which are two paint brands that you can get at Michael's or Joann's and craft stores like that. These two brands here are super affordable, and so was the Handmade Modern paint that I found at Target, although these are a little bit more expensive. These range from $1.50 to $3, and this one started at $2.50. So it's sort of in the middle price range wise with these. And it is, of course, just a small bottle at 2 fluid ounces. So I want to see if the, although very affordable price, is going to hold up to its competitor brands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera over to my hands and we're going to paint using these different finishes and these different colors on a few different surfaces so that we could see first impressions together, how it holds up, and what I think about them. Let's get started. Okay, so I've gone ahead and gathered a few materials, a few different surfaces, including this primed canvas board. And then I also have some glass. This is an old candle. And then I have some wood, both primed and not primed. So we've got the primed side and the unprimed side, because I want to see how the paint does with a primed surface and a unprimed surface. And then I also have this old candle lid so that we can test how it works on metal. So the two that I was really drawn to in the store was the Satin Deep Sea and the Satin Robin's Egg. So those are the first two we're going to try. So I'm trying this for the first time with you guys, which is why there's still the little piece of packaging here still left on it. Well, okay. All right, let's try this together. So this is the Satin Deep Sea. Just gonna take a huge glob and see what kind of coverage we get. Now I want to point out that I don't have any water on my paintbrush. This was a dry paintbrush, and then I just used the paint straight from the bottle. And it seems to have really nice coverage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab just a little bit of water and see how the paint blends out with some water. And it looks like you would need a couple of coats to get a really good coverage, even using this darker paint. Let's see how the robin's egg does. Since there's so much paint on the inside packaging, I'm just going to use the inside packaging to pull the paint from. And then see how the lighter color holds up. So we'll come from this side. And surprising enough, this color actually has a better coverage than the darker color, and that could be because of the large amount of white that's in this color. But this covers the canvas better than the darker color did. But so far, this is very comparable to other craft paints in the same price range. That's my first initial reaction. Let's see how the shimmers show on canvas. So this is the shimmer in aqua. And I'm going to grab another paintbrush for this one. Actually, I think I'm going to grab a sponge. So I have a little sponge brush here. And let's see how this... Oh, it's such a pretty color. It is definitely sheer. But it does have a shimmer to it. Let's see if I could show you. See the shimmer when I move the angle compared to the satin finishes on the other colors. Now I would let these dry and see what the shimmer color looks like on top of a solid color. But while that's drying, we could be testing the other ones on this watercolor paper. So I'm just going to grab my journal, find a blank page to test. There we go. Move this out of the way to dry. And we can go ahead and test the glow-in-the-dark paint in Candy Floss. I'm going to grab another sponge applicator, dip that in there. Now this paint is really, really sheer. It would probably take quite a few coats to get a solid color of the glow-in-the-dark. But I'd imagine because it's glow-in-the-dark paint, it's really just a top coat that you would add to a pink or a red so that it would glow in the dark. Once this dries, I'll take this into a dark area and see if the camera will pick up any glowing effect. If not, I'll just tell you if it glowed or not, and you'll have to take my word for it. The other one that was supposed to glow in the dark, let's see, was this ghost. So I'm going to open up this. I would imagine this is probably going to be all the way clear. Grab another paintbrush and add this right next to the pink so that I could see them side by side when they dry and I take them into a dark area. So I'm just going to grab another sponge applicator. Oop, I picked up some of that pink. Well, it's actually not completely clear. It's more of a cream color, which they're calling Ghost. Let me see. Oops, shaking the camera here. You could kind of see, there you go. Now you can see that it's cream compared to the white paper that it's on. Time for Neon Hot Coral. I was super excited about this color too, in addition to the two blue ones. Another applicator. That was a big heaping portion of paint. Now this is a watercolor paper, so it is going to absorb a little bit of the paint. So I can't be too harsh on my first reaction of the coverage because the paper is soaking up some of the paint, but it does look like you would need a couple of coats to get a really dark color of this hot coral color. Now we have the glitter. I'm just going to use the same pink sponge I was using for the glow in the dark. Now this goes on completely sheer. And I'm not too impressed with the shimmer that's inside of it. So far the only one that's really disappointed me is the glitter acrylic paint in Candy Pink. It goes on really, really sheer, and the shimmer payoff isn't a lot. So the shimmer payoff isn't great, and I probably wouldn't buy this paint again. This particular one, the Candy Pink. Okay, so we've tried them all on normal surfaces, right, on canvas and paper. But what I want to do now is test them on metal. So I'm going to use this deeper color here. I'm going to clean off one of my brushes. And I'm going to paint just a little bit. I just want to test what this is going to dry like on metal. So again, on metal you would need a couple of coats. It does go on sheer. I'm going to go ahead and speed through this so that you guys can see me paint 2 coats. Okay, now that I have 2 coats of the deep sea, I want to see what the glow-in-the-dark paint looks like on the metal. So using Ghost, I'm going to put a layer on top of the snowflakes here on the lid. Oh, and it looks like I had some blue on my paintbrush that I wasn't aware of. So I'm just going to clean that off. Let's grab a rag here and pick up that blue. Okay, let's try that again with the clean brush. Okay, I'm gonna put the glow-in-the-dark paint on the snowflake, and I'm just being messy. Not being very particular with the paint because I'm really just trying to test it as opposed to taking my time with a real project. I do that for all of the snowflakes, and I'm putting quite a bit of this paint because I want to give it its best chance for success. So I really want to see how glow in the dark this paint really is. I'm going to set this aside to dry, and we're going to go ahead and move on to a piece of glass and test what the paint looks like on some glass. So I'm going to paint the inside with the shimmer paint. And since I have a little bit of coverage to do, I'm going to use, let's see, another sponge brush. I'm going to take a big heap and paint the inside of the glass. And because this is so sheer, you're definitely seeing the paint streaks, or the paintbrush streaks from this sponge here. But that's okay. I just want to see if the shimmer shows through. And I'm going to put a couple of different coats. I'm going to allow the streaks that are happening to just add to the texture. And add a second layer. Okay, even with the second layer of this shimmer paint, I'm seeing that it's going to take way too many coats for this to ever be opaque. So, and I'm not seeing too much of the shimmer shine through on the outside, even though it is pretty. I'm gonna help it along with adding my own glitter to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some glitter. Okay, so an impromptu test. We're gonna see how well this paint acts as an adhesive, because I'm now going to use that second layer of the shimmer paint as an adhesive by adding my Martha Stewart Crafts glitter in blue topaz. And I'm gonna sprinkle a whole bunch in here. I'm gonna grab some paper so that I can collect the glitter. Move these parts out of the way. Now you're not going to be able to see all of the glitter on the outside because of the paint. You're just going to see like hints of it. So I'm just swirling the glitter around so that it covers all of the surface. Get it all out. Oh, much better. That's pretty. So now it's a little bit more opaque because it has the glitter backing it up. And now you can really see the shimmer that the original paint gave on the first two layers. Now that it has a darker blue backing from the glitter, you could see the contrast. And there's the inside. Very pretty. And while those are drying, we'll work on the last test here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Oops, wrong way. Go. And we're going to test what this paint looks like on wood. So on this side I have the untreated wood, and then on this side I have primed wood, and I used a white gesso to prime it. We're going to use the neon acrylic paint in hot coral. First, we're going to try the treated side. And this is more of a sheer color, so we're going to have to use some layers. So that's what it looks like on the treated side, and now let's see what it looks like on the untreated side. So treated side, untreated side. It's actually soaked into the wood pretty good and gave a nice coverage, but it's kind of laying on top of my gesso here and making it sheer. That's kind of funny. So I actually like this paint better on unprimed wood than I do on primed, because you see it's just kind of sitting on top, and that brings out its sheer nature, for lack of a better word. There we go. Okay. All right, so we've tested it on a few different surfaces. I'm going to let all of these things dry, and then once they're dry, I'll come back and give you my final thoughts. Alrighty, friends, everything is dry. And so I'm going to show you what everything looks like. So this was the iridescent paint. You're getting a little bit of a glare. Let me move it. There we go. This was the iridescent paint that wasn't opaque enough, so I added some Martha Stewart glitter behind it. That's how that came out. And this was the paint on metal. This was a old lid. So that's what it looks like on the metal. And of course I could have painted this neater, but you could see that it probably needed a couple more coats if I wanted to get it even. And then I put the glow-in-the-dark paint on top of these. So in just a moment, I'm going to take you into a dark room and see if it'll show up on camera. Here is the paint on canvas. Here it was on a primed piece of wood and unprimed. And it did better when it soaked into the wood than sitting on top of the gesso. And then here is the paint on watercolor paper. This one here was the ghost paint, so the glow-in-the-dark. And then this one is the iridescent, or not iridescent, the glittery pink, which, like I said, was the only one I was disappointed in. So overall, I really like the paints. I think they're just as good as the competitor brands in the same price range. The only thing I would say is because they are the same price and the same quality as its competitors, it may be smarter to purchase the other brands because the other brands are sold in stores that constantly have coupons, whereas this brand here is sold in Target, which very rarely goes on sale or has coupons. That said, convenience of Target is something to be considered. You can pick these paints up at most Targets. So if you have a Target near you, it may be more convenient to pick these up while you're doing the rest of your shopping than have to go to a dedicated art or craft store to pick up your paints. Thank you guys for stopping by. Don't forget to check out my website, simplyartworld.com. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers!